more Twitter policy reactions, and using lists in Mastodon and Twitter. This is Mac Voices. This edition of Mac Voices is supported by the MacVoices Dispatch, our weekly newsletter to keep you up on all the latest from Mac Voices. Watch or listen to Mac Voices straight from your email client. Sign up at macvoices.com/newsletter and stay up to date. Welcome to Mac Voices. This is the talk of the Apple community, and I'm Chuck Joyner. The Mac Voices Live panel wraps up their conversation about some of Twitter's recent policy changes, talks about how you use Twitter and other social media and how it might inform your thoughts on some of those changes, and then takes a look at the list features of both Twitter and Mastodon and why they might benefit you. Let's go back and let the panel do the talking. We've got a lot of good comments here happening in all the chats. So first, I want to call Barry out on the YouTube chat. He says that's not the public forum that Elon said Twitter would be. Okay, that's a very fair point, Barry. Ben, you brought up a dating app analogy that Jeff apparently likes, and but I think I'm missing it. What's the dating app analogy?
Okay. There's a company called Match.com, which owns a lot of the dating apps, including Match, Tinder, and a few others. They have a reputation for starting out by giving you a bunch of features for free, then slowly taking those features behind the paywall.
Okay.
That's kind of what Twitter's doing here.
Trying to.
Okay, I guess I'm being argumentative in some cases just to be argumentative here, but all they're saying is that I may not, they're not preventing me from publishing information.
No, but they're preventing people from seeing it.
I don't think so, Jeff. They are allowing people to pay for promotion. But if I go on Twitter, they're not saying, oh, you can't see Chuck's posts because he doesn't have a check mark.
No, but
they're just not promoting it for somebody to see it.
And so the content that you'll be seeing more and more and more is promoted content. And which means you'll see less and less of the posts from the people that you're following that aren't paying to play. So in that sense, Elon and Twitter as a whole is going to be silencing probably the larger portion of their user base, because their content is just going to sink to the bottom below all of the paid stuff. And I think that's actually at this point by design.
But that assumes that I'm going there to look at the content that is thrown at me, as opposed to the content that I've chosen to follow.
That's the default. It comes up in that mode every time you bring up the app. It comes up in For You. How many people even know that they can click on, and not use that?
I don't know. I mean, maybe because I'm right now accessing it primarily with TweetDeck, that I just don't, or maybe I thought those
didn't even work anymore. TweetDeck still works.
TweetDeck's a Twitter product.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. And maybe I'm arguing here from a false standpoint, or maybe I just am not recognizing that it's shoving stuff at me that I don't want to see, because everything in my TweetDeck timeline is either somebody I follow or has been retweeted, or I've lost track now who uses what terminology, retweeted or boosted or quoted or whatever from somebody that I know. That doesn't mean I necessarily care about ever seeing a post from that person that was quoted again, but I have what I consider and still consider a high quality stream of information, except for those few people that continually throw political stuff at me.
That's not the way most people see Twitter. And it'll be interesting to see how long you're able to continue to see it that way, because clearly that's not what Elon wants you to see.
Maybe not. But go try TweetDeck and see if I'm wrong. Does anybody else here use TweetDeck?
I do.
Okay,
I haven't been
David?
on Twitter in months now.
David, you see? I mean, when you've all gone through TweetDeck, do you see a bunch of stuff shoved at you, or do you just see what you want?
I see what I want. I mean, but I have seen stuff in the past where there'd be stuff I was like, well, I didn't do that. They're like a promoted tweet or something like that. But beyond that, no. I mean, I've been able to tailor it based on the filtering I'm doing. Like Mac knowledge and Apple knowledge and iOS, that kind of stuff.
Okay. Brian, you brought up an interesting point about the blue check mark and what should and should not have been the terminology.
Yeah, my thought is, maybe one of the issues that came up was the way that in Elon Musk's usage of the verified blue check mark, it's the wrong terminology. It's not verified. And correct me if I'm wrong, but if you pay for the service, there is no verification process, right? It's just a matter of forking over your credit
You're
card.
not wrong.
Okay, so going with that premise then, I think they should have just called it, some like VIP user or something. I don't know, something more creative than that. But, and it's a two-tiered thing. There's verified, whether it's people who, confirmed via, based on their status, who they are, celebrity, government official, whatever, right? And then there's...
Well, they're eliminating that completely.
Right.
But it's from now on, verified means VIP or paid. It just means paid. That's all it means.
Yeah. And it's completely the wrong just term to use. It should have just been, VIP premium customer or whatever, something along those lines, that's what I was thinking. It was kind of silly to use that same.
Like
and Twitter Premium, that sounds like a term they would have ended up using.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of the crux of it all. I think a lot of these changes would have been a lot better received if they were handled differently.
Hindsight does that for you, though.
Yeah, it really
I don't know
does.
about that. I'm not sure I agree with that.
Well, it does seem like there have been a series of contradictory things going on here, and some things that just seem designed to upset people, and that's too bad. That's why I thought it was intriguing that these three stories showed up, within just a couple of days of each other.
No, I think where this is heading is that your feed will be just nothing but Elon tweets.
Oh, Mark Fucci is in the chat room. No. It's not pay to play. Get over your hurt feelings that Elon is removing your blue check mark. Earn the right to your audience from current content, not past fame. Don't rest on your laurels. Tell us how you really feel, Mark.
That's awesome. I will be losing my blue check mark on April 1st, and I'm okay with that because the reason I had a blue check mark, that whole thing disappeared a long time ago when it stopped being a thing about being a verified account. Now, as far as earning my audience, I'm totally fine with earning my audience as long as I get to earn my audience. If I have to pay to have my post seen so that I can get an audience, I'm not earning an audience anymore. With my content, I'm now just paying to have an audience.
Yeah. Also, the current
That's like buying Google ads.
Play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Also,
Ben,
the current blue check mark doesn't preclude someone from taking my photo, taking my tweets, and then taking my audience.
Mm-hmm.
Which was the original reason for the blue check.
That's a really good point, Ben. Someone could scrape my feed, take my photo, set up a new Jeff Gamet account, pay for their Twitter checkmark, and now they have co-opted me, and they're the new Jeff Gamet on Twitter.
Imagine if Google showed you only sponsored links instead of just the first few are sponsored. Imagine if it was all sponsored. That's basically where this is going.
It has that potential. It has that potential, but I go back to if you learn how to filter it, like Dave said he was doing, or if you learn how to adjust it, and maybe those adjustments will go away, the capability of those adjustments. But and this is maybe why I guess I have not gotten into the Elon Musk haters club, because I just haven't seen that much change in my Twitter feed, with the exception of people who announce with a certain, at times, self-righteous zeal that they are leaving Twitter and that they will never post there again. And that's fine. That's their prerogative to say it. It's their prerogative to do it. But then I miss, Jeff's a perfect example. Jeff didn't make any grand big announcement, at least not that I saw. He just kind of quietly left. So I don't see anything from Jeff Gamet in my Twitter feed. I miss seeing things from Jeff Gamet in my Twitter feed, but that hasn't, other than him being absent, my Twitter feed has not degraded. And that's, I guess, where I'm different from a lot of you, the way you use Twitter, because you're seeing a lot more sponsored posts. You're seeing a lot more for you stuff. I'm still not quite sure why you are, and I'm not, but maybe I'm just defending.
I'm not saying I see more for you stuff. I'm not saying I see more for you stuff. I have no problem with that. That's what I've said. Is that I think the for you has worked really well. They've got some sort of an algorithm, and it notices that there's certain topics I like, and just like YouTube is all, got an algorithm, and it figures out what I like, and it does a great job of suggesting stuff that I'm interested in, and I'm happy with that, and I've been happy with is there stuff in there that I'm not interested in? Sure. But, that's to be expected. I'm just anticipating that now, basically, for you, they're saying it's going to exclude anything that's not a blue check mark, which I think is going to exclude like 95% of things I might be interested in. And so I we'll see. But I'm guessing that this is going to make it much less interesting to me. That's what I'm saying.
I mean, the other thing, it's not as easy to leave Twitter right now as some people might think. I mean, my tech community has largely moved to Mastodon. But, my Chicago sports community has not. My local news has not. So, whether, I may agree with Twitter right now, for certain aspects of my life, I have to be there.
Ben, my workaround for that, and this is going to sound absolutely ridiculous. The news services that I follow, local news, they all have a Facebook presence as well. So now I'm checking Facebook regularly for my local news. I know your laughing is completely appropriate and warranted.
That's insane.
I'm sorry.
I'm laughing with you, not at you, Jeff. So
no, it's okay to laugh at me.
Yeah, I'm laughing with you. I refuse to laugh at you. So
I mean, I'm laughing at me a little bit too, because I can taste the irony in what I just said.
Brian, I'm going to let you get in part of the last word here, because you bring up a great question, and I'll let you state what you put in the chat.
Thanks. I'm not 100% sure, but I was just thinking there might be a workaround. I was thinking about the problem that Jim brought up with some of the folks he follows, and if they're not verified, blue check mark, old or new, and it's removed later, will they still appear in his feed? I believe, and it's a feature I don't use very much of, but I believe there's a list function in Twitter that you can have different lists for different interests you might have or that type of thing, and you can maybe put all your people you follow or the majority of them or something of that nature into that, it may not help you get new people to follow, but maybe the ones you currently follow might appear there. I don't know how it refreshes though, similar to how the regular feed refreshes. So I don't know if you'll end up causing mists, not seeing some new posts being given or not. But it was just a thought that came to me.
An interesting idea. Unfortunately, it seems like all the features are in a bit of flux right now, but it's worth a shot. So
I've heard good things about lists, and that was something that I was planning on looking into. And then I just sort of was like, man, I'm not investing any more time in learning more about Twitter or anything like that. Mastodon has lists too, and I think I need to look into that because I'm seeing too much on Mastodon.
Yeah, Jim, I used to use lists a lot on Twitter, and it was great because I could create lists for very specific things, and it made it really easy for me to stay on top of whatever it was I wanted to focus on in the moment. And now that you're saying that, you're inspiring me. I need to start setting up my lists on Mastodon.
I didn't know Mastodon had a list feature. That's
I
interesting.
believe
Jeff.
they do, but I don't know how it works.
Okay, I got to go check.
Another topic.
Yeah.
Another day.
We need Eric. I bet Eric knows how they work. Wait, Jeff's also the expert.
Yeah, I just looked in Ivory on the Mac, and lists are here. So I just need to start setting some up. Lists, edit, plus. Okay, so here's how to do this in Ivory Mastodon on the Mac. So when you click the list icon, which looks like three horizontal lines, different lengths, you won't see any lists, but you'll see an edit button. Go ahead and click that. Now you get a plus button that shows up. Click that. Excuse me. And you can start setting up lists from there. So you can set up the titles and you can even include whether or not you're going to see replies in the lists. So there you go. It's actually pretty easy to set these up.
Okay, so everybody go out there and experiment with lists. Today's edition of Mac Voices is brought to you by the MacVoices Dispatch, our weekly newsletter. Visit macvoices.com/newsletter today, sign up, and stay up to date. Guys, I have been negligent in looking at the time, and I didn't realize we are way over, but this has been a really...
I was wondering.
Yeah, sorry about that.
I saw that about 2 minutes ago. I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
I was wondering for a second if you thought this was the Mac show.
I see what you did there.
Yes. Hey, thank you all for being here and participating. Thanks to Britt for being here as well. I'm sorry she had to cut out early and didn't get to the benefit of all this wisdom. But let's go around the room, let folks know where they can find you, and then we'll get out of here. So I'm just going to keep the order I had before, or at least unless they've juggled the cameras, which I'm not sure. I think they may have. Brian, thank you for being here and for showing up in a tie, no less. Where can folks connect with you?
I appreciate it. Thank you again for having me. A couple places. Just opened a Mastodon account over the last couple weeks, so happy to share to the address here. I'm still remembering it. It's at Brian8944 at mastodon.cloud, and then also Twitter, Brian8944.
Great. Thanks so much for being here.
What does 8944 mean?
Well, I'll save that for after.
Does it have a significance? Okay.
Ooh. Okay. Now After Dark's going to be good tonight, folks. David Ginsburg, he may or may not be by the pool in Vegas, but he's been here with us. Thank you so much, David. Where can folks find you?
Thanks. I was glad to be here. You can find me at In Touch with iOS at intouchwithios.com. By the time you hear this, there will not be a show this week because I am in Vegas. But you also can go to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/intouchwithios. I'm on the Mac show on Fridays usually. I'm going to miss this week as well, but got to have some vacation time. And you can find me on Mastodon at DaveG65 at mastodon.cloud. Thanks so much.
Thank you, David. Jim Ray, hope. Well, I was going to say I hope you get your camera fixed, but this camera looks just fine. You look just like yourself. Where can folks find you?
Wow, my feed looks terrible. But okay, I'm glad it looks good. Good for you. I'm definitely going to investigate what's going on after we get off here. Anyway, you can find me. My company website is provue.com, provue.com. And you can find me on Mastodon at ProViewGym, at techhub.social. And I'm on Twitter too, but I'm not giving that out.
Okay. Thank you, Jim. Good to have you. I feel obligated to say Mr. Rathig because of the tie. Thank you so much for being here. You dignified devil, you. Where can folks find you?
Well, Chuck, you can find me at social media. Well, your social media of choice at Ben Rathig. You can also find me on my permanently interim website, rathigtech.blogspot.com. You can find me on the British Tech Network Thursdays and Fridays. And you can also find me as a permanent contributor on Dave Ginsburg's show, but not this week, In Touch with iOS.
Great. Thank you, Ben. Good to have you. Jeff Gamet appearing on Mac Voices with pants. The world has definitely changed.
This world
How do you know?
sucks.
Just look at his face. You can just tell that
You
he's
can
not
tell.
his
You can-
usual self.
You can tell.
You can tell he has pants.
Yeah.
Don't get up.
Yeah, don't get it.
Yeah, I could prove it, but I also don't want to scar anyone. Yeah, I'm wearing pants. Ben and Brian both in ties. Webb with a badge on. At least that's what it looks like. So
Yeah, Webb's not wearing a tie.
Yeah, Officer Webb, and I mean this whole crew is out of control. Thanks for letting me join, even though I showed up late. And let's see, socials. Jay Gamet on pretty much everything. The networks that I'm most active on right now are Mastodon and Instagram. Then for podcasts, most Tuesdays here because Chuck keeps letting me back in. And then on Thursdays, on the Big Show on British Tech Network, and then most Thursday evenings because Dave keeps letting me back in Touch with iOS. Then on Fridays, the Mac Show on the British Tech Network, and then Brian Chaffin and I do the Context Machine.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you so much for being here. And
Thanks
thank you for
having me.
taking care of your mother with the tech support. Good job.
My parents can both rest easy. The biggest concern that my mom kept bringing up was, I don't want to lose Apple TV Plus. She really wanted to make sure that credit card was set up so that she could keep watching her shows.
That's
awesome.
great. That's great. Officer Webb, I kind of like that.
Oh no. It's a glorified eagle. It's the logo for one of my companies, so it's not a badge. It's a looks like I'm with the Postal Service, but that's another story. So
I don't know, but I like it. It has a nice vibe to
but it does have a little glow to it with the light that I have on. So anyway, you can find me at don't tell anyone but Webb Bixby at Twitter. Don't tell anyone. I still have friends that I want to keep, but otherwise. Otherwise, on Mastodon at Webb Bixby at twit.social. So, and Chuck, good to be here. Thank you.
Thank you, Webb. It's always a pleasure. It's always a pleasure. Folks, I'm Chuck Joyner. This is Mac Voices. We do this Tuesday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, whatever time that is, wherever you are, right here on YouTube at youtube.com/MacVoicesTV. Until the next time, and as always, thanks for watching. Visit MacVoices.com for show notes and to connect with Chuck on social media. Get involved in our Facebook group or like our Facebook page, and get more out of your Apple tech with Mac Voices Magazine, free on Flipboard and on the web. And if you find value in it all, consider supporting us through either our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/MacVoices or by making a one-time donation via the PayPal link on our front page and in the show notes of each episode. You will join these fine people who help bring you Mac Voices. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media at backbeatmedia.com. Bandwidth provided by CacheFly at cachefly.com.